Hare Krishna. Yes, so yes, so Gangadas Pandit is Lord Chaitanya's Sanskrit guru, or his that was his school teacher, who he learned grammar and logic and Sanskrit language, poetry, and other subjects from. Yeah. So, you know, when they think the teacher's gone off, they've gone to his teacher to complain. This is quite instructive also, from the point of view, if we are taking shelter of a devotee, someone's guiding us, and you know things are not going well, which may happen at some point, not necessarily, then we should know the right etiquette in terms of how to deal with this situation. Yeah. So this is the proper way of doing it. You go to someone who's more senior than that person. And even Prabhupada, he established a sort of hierarchy in Krishna consciousness. At that time, everyone was very new to Krishna consciousness. Everyone was new, except for Srila Prabhupada himself, in the 60s and early 70s. And Prabhupada would make it very clear, like, you know, in an initiation ceremony, you know, say there was a handful of people taking Diksha, then the first person, Prabhupada would say, see, he is more senior than you, because he got initiated before you. You know, even though it was just minutes before, in the same ceremony. But Prabhupada wanted to emphasize that, you know, if there's a problem, then you go to someone who is superior, you know. So that also applies when, like, you're following the instructions of someone, and you know they're guiding you, but if somehow they go astray, then you can it's not like there's no hope for you, you know. Then you can go to someone who's again senior. So so they're obviously in this past time, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is actually in a more superior position. They just don't realize it. They just don't know that you know, he's advanced so much. They just don't know. But still, they've gone by the etiquette. They've not argued back to him, or, you know, challenged him. Huh? So they were talking amongst themselves, and then they realized that actually we should go to a senior person and try and resolve our understanding. Yeah. Anyone else have any thoughts or questions on that aspect? Anyone been in like a situation like this before?
Many times, Prabhu.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would get advice from my seniors most of the time, even with this move and stuff, how I have to, how I can follow my principles. Everything I had conversation with my seniors. Yeah.
Yeah. It's very important to take guidance for any major decisions, especially. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
even with our house move, and we had some issues. We had a talk with Arvind Prabhu. You know, Arvind Krishna Prabhu, isn't there? He is our mentor. Yeah. So we had a discussion with him, and we went as per his advice. So yeah, each and every move we get guidance from our Siksha gurus. Yeah.
Yeah, very important. Also, in considering like taking up any particular service, or, you know, changes to schedule due to work, or, you know, life events, you know, because our sadhana, we're just practicing spiritual life, and so to really make advancement, we have to be really steady, huh? And so to keep that steadiness in our practice amidst all of the changes in the material world, because we know the material world is always ever changing, always challenging us, then that guidance is where it helps to keep us steady. Anyone else? Any thoughts?
I mean, like Amu Mataji said, you always get guidance from people who are senior to you, especially if you have, I mean, I've got lots of guidance from my seniors, whether at university or just friends who are older than me, relatives, cousins.
Yeah, applies to all aspects of life, isn't it? Yeah. Somehow, when people think of spirituality, though, sometimes people have this concept that, you know, it's me and Krishna. It's about me and Krishna, no one else. But that's not always the best approach. That is there, that we will have our individual relationship with Krishna, but to really mature that relationship, we need as much help as we can get.
And then, well, I don't know if this is the right place to say it, but once I went to the manor, and one of the other devotees took me there, and she actually introduced me to the teachings of Rasamrita Swami, Bhakti Rasamrita Swami.
Yeah.
Who comes to the manor, or goes to the manor quite a few times. I think he's based in India, but he goes there. And then I heard his teaching. It was a morning class. I heard his teaching. So my friend, the other devotee, she took me in front of him, and she was talking to him. And then he started talking to me, and I don't know what happened. So I was going to ask him for some advice. I don't know what happened, Prabhuji. It's never happened to me before. The entire time, I just ended up crying really badly, like a crybaby, in front of him.
Oh.
And nobody had a clue as to what's happened. I think he got a bit perplexed as to what's happening. So sometimes I think I just got overwhelmed. I was about to ask him or request him to give me some advice. The whole situation, it just overwhelmed me so much. And then being in front of him, I don't know what came over me. To this day, I just cannot understand what came over me. But I cried. I just cried, and he just gave me a tulsi leaf, and then that was it. And so it just reminded me, and all I wanted to do was ask him for some advice on something very, very, I can't even remember what, and I couldn't even do that. And I still can't explain why till this day.
Okay. Thanks for sharing that with us.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can all have amazing experiences, different kind of experiences, saintly people. So let's see how Gangadas Pandit takes this issue up. Would you like to read now, Panchali? You're on mute though. You'll get well ahead of us if we
I know.
to let you carry on.
Well, that's one of the muting and unmuting. That's a skill that I will add to my CV once the pandemic situation is over. So, okay. So it starts with the last paragraph on page 83, doesn't it?
Right.
So Gangadas, yeah.
Yeah, if you read a few paragraphs, yeah.
Yeah. So Gangadas came to talk to Lord Chaitanya. He asked why they were saying he had lost his Brahminical edge. Lord Chaitanya said, "No, I am the same Nimai Pandit. I can defeat anyone. Let them come and make their proposal, and I will defeat it, and then again I will establish it, prove that they were really right and I was wrong, then defeat them again and prove that I'm right." This is what a good Brahmana can do, prove everything by logic. Of course, Lord Chaitanya later said that simply debate and logic is far from the way to get real truth in the bhakti line. He was the greatest debater of his time, but later he said that logic will not give conclusive understanding of the absolute truth. We have to know it from the Shastras. So, after this challenge, the Lord replied, "No, I am the same. Bring me any Brahmana and I will defeat him. I just haven't defeated anyone yet, but I will go out right now, and the first person I see, I'll defeat him. Then again, establish his point, and then defeat him again. The students were thinking, wow, he is our same Nimai Pandit, fired up.
Okay. So he's got their confidence back, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so what was the key point in here?
Logic isn't the best way to find out the truth.
Yeah, I was thinking that is the central point in this section too. See, what's the limitations? What's the limitation of logic, do you think? Just open to everyone.
There is no heart in it. There's the it's very formulaic, isn't it?
Yeah. It doesn't actually involve the doesn't actually take into consideration experience that we have, isn't it? And therefore Prabhupada sometimes says it's very dry logic. Prabhupada uses the term dry logic. Yeah. Anything else?
There's so anything in any logical argument has to be based on some premise, and so if the premise is up for debate, then you can establish anything. So you need the premise to be provided by like a perfect source like God. Otherwise, anybody can make any argument because the premise can be anything.
That's exactly it. Yeah, that's what's mentioned here as well. So that's another one that it's inconclusive, as it says here. That logic will not give conclusive understanding of the absolute truth. So premise means that what's the basis of what you're saying? You know, who are you? What kind of authority are you to say this? You know, each person in a logical debate is their own authority, right? Or they may quote so many other authorities, but then what's the basis of those? Yeah. Even if you take the scriptures, yeah. Even if you take the scriptures, because there's different slopes for different folks, you know. different scriptures for different types of people. As we know, there's certain scriptures are meant for people in the mode of ignorance. Yeah, they can't follow something which is pure transcendental. You know, they just have to get above. They're just living on that level of ignorance, and there's a scripture. Certain scriptures are there to help them. At least then they're not committing sins because they're doing things which are in the mode of ignorance, but they're not acquiring sins because they're following a scripture which is going to elevate them from ignorance to passion. And then there's scriptures for people in the mode of passion, you know, and that's not the highest thing either, nor is goodness. And then there's of course the transcendental literatures, which under proper guidance everyone can benefit from. Yeah. So even logic based on scripture isn't always the best if it's just like, you know, my arguments versus your arguments. So the what was the word used? Premises, right? What was the word you used, Nimesh? Sorry, it was
Premise.
The premise, yeah. So that in Sanskrit is called the pramanam. What's your evidence? Yeah, it's a very similar word. You studied this, right, at university, isn't it? Is that right?
Yeah, I did one module in it.
Yeah.
And there's no conclusion. There's just loads of debates.
And actually, we find that logicians and, you know, such people, they're almost afraid of conclusive arguments. They don't like conclusions because that's the end of their fun. That's the end of the, you know, there's a certain type of people, that's their rasa, isn't it? You know, they just like to debate and just like to you know, like this is what these students of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, this is what they really liked. They liked him just debating and then, you know, turn the argument over and over. No end to it. So that in itself doesn't give one a determined goal in life. So that's more important, to actually have a goal in life. To know when you're lying on your deathbed that you're going somewhere, you've achieved something. Yeah. You've got something permanent, eternal. And Charlie, did you want to comment here?
It's just around the comment you made about the books and different levels of books.
Yeah.
So I've heard that in the heavenly planets, when Krishna talks about, or the Gita and the Srimad Bhagavatam in the heavenly planets, they are written in a slightly more elevated way, in a way that people in the heavenly planets can understand. But for us in the on Earth, it's written in a slightly simpler way. And then as we go down the planets,
it's only more elaborate, and the details are more in the heavenly planets. So it's not more elevated. The message is exactly the same.
Mm-hmm.
So the message doesn't change. It's just the details that change. Yeah.
Yeah.
So they say that the Bhagavatam here is 18,000 verses. Yeah. I haven't sat there and counted them, so I've been told. But they say that in the heavenly planets, the Bhagavatam is bigger. It's whatever, tens of thousands or 100,000 verses, whatever it is. It's just more details. Yeah. But the principles will always be the same.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, okay. Would you like to continue reading? And we're going to hear about the debate that Nimai Pandit's fired up to have now.
Yeah.
As a devotee.
Yeah. So Lord Chaitanya went out in the street and waited for the first Brahmana to come along to challenge him for debate. But the first Brahmana to come along was not just a Pandit, he was the brother of Srivas Thakur, Ramadas Pandit, an incarnation of Parvata Muni. He was walking along singing a beautiful bhajan about Krishna, how Krishna is so merciful to everyone, and how the demoness, Putana, wanted to kill him by putting poison on her breast, but she approached him with a very loving demeanor, saying, "You are very dear to me. You are my little baby. Kuchi kuchi ku, I love you. Suck my milk." Because she showed all this loving affection, she even fooled Mother Yashoda. Krishna decided to reward her for her good act with the position of one of his mothers in the spiritual world. She attained Vatsalya Rasa, the post of a mother. Krishna is so kind that a witch, a hateful, cruel, murderous, despicable witch, because she faked that she loved Krishna, she later actually became a mother. He was reciprocating with whatever affection she showed. Okay, you are treating me like a mother. Ye yatha mam prapadyante tamastatya tataiva bhajyami aham. Bhagavad Gita 4.11. According to how people approach me, I reciprocate, and you approached me like a mother, so I will make you a mother. So, in the spiritual world, she became one of Krishna's mothers. But because she also approached to kill him, Krishna reciprocated and killed her. So she went back to Godhead and became a mother in the spiritual world.
Okay. So this was the first target of Nimai Pandit. Yeah. And what happens as this person's coming down the street? So we're just reading about how Nimai Pandit's ready to challenge the first person who walks down the street. And what happens?
So he was actually singing a beautiful bhajan of Krishna.
Yeah. So he says, just bring me any Pandit, right? The first person who comes on the street. But this Pandit happened to be a devotee Pandit rather than, one of these smarter Brahmins. one of these like logicians. Yeah, so, and he's singing a bhajan about
Putana, Krishna, the pastime of Putana.
Yeah. Okay, so without giving too much away, we can imagine what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's response is going to be, being the person he is now. But let's look into this point which he's making in the bhajan is quite extraordinary, isn't it? It's quite an amazing pastime which he's singing about, because we know Krishna made Putana his mother, a mother in the spiritual world. Yeah. So what does that tell us about the character of Krishna?
Very merciful.
Very merciful. Very, very merciful. Yeah. Imagine someone's like your enemy, and they actually come to attack you. And in the course of attack, you somehow find a good quality in their heart while they're attacking you. And then you give them everything their heart desires, you know? You give them like the best thing you can possibly give them. Krishna gives this this witch, he gives her Krishna Prem, because you can't go to the spiritual world if you haven't got Krishna Prem, you know? So that's what he gives. Very, very rare that Krishna can give that to someone. Yeah. So that's really amazing. Any other points that you could see from this part of the reading?
It's about reciprocation, isn't it? As you approach me, I will approach you in the same way, as Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita.
That's right. Yes, a good point there. So, so how did she actually approached him as a demon, but in the disguise of a mother, isn't it? So Krishna took just that motherly aspect only, huh? And he said that you've approached me in that way. In another place in Gita, Krishna says that that I carry what you lack and I preserve what you have. So she had that mood of a mother, although she lacked the proper attitude of a mother. She had the form of a mother. So she only physically looked like a mother, but she had the attitude of a demoness. So Krishna forgot the demoness part. He uplifted her from that part, and he kept the motherly part. Yeah. So he carried what she lacked and preserved what she had. So another Bhagavad Gita reference. So these are really nice because we can make these connections from philosophical, the philosophy of Bhagavad Gita. They're actually not just philosophy, they're very practical things. Krishna actually acts in that way, we can see, which is very wonderful, isn't it? So so let's see how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu takes this, unless there's any other points from anyone. Who is the next reader then? Who would like to read next? Let's see. Smita Mataji?
Okay, I'll read. Hare Krishna. When Lord Chaitanya heard this song, he was thinking, Krishna was so merciful to the witch that came to kill him, came to murder him, even though she showed an artificial false motherly love. Still he blessed her. What to speak of any devotee that comes to Krishna and even a little bit of sincerity? Who really wants to give his or her affection to Krishna? And how much mercy will Krishna give to those devotees? It is unimaginable how merciful Krishna is. Thinking like this, Lord Chaitanya became ecstatic. He started rolling on the ground, crying out, Krishna, Krishna, you are so merciful. I am so fallen that my heart is so hard. Krishna is so kind. He blessed Putana, who was an evil witch. All the students were just standing there watching their master roll on the ground.
Right. So it's quite a funny pastime because he wants to. They want to see him debate and stuff.
How old was Lord Chaitanya at this time? Around 17, 18?
Yeah, could be around that. Yeah, or even maybe even younger. I can't remember if it mentioned it or not. Right. So he was supposed to go for a debate, and he comes across this guy who just touches his heart with his songs. And it's almost like the guy just not the guy, but this devotee, Ramdas Pandit, he was like almost unaware that Nimai Pandit is standing there. He's just so absorbed in the song himself. Isn't it? And then here Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he falls over on the ground in front of him and he's rolling around. And it's like this guy doesn't even notice. He just carries, he's always just carrying on, just singing his song. There's no description of him stopping or anything like that. He just, the Krishna consciousness is like that. You can be in this world, but not of this world. Yeah. So both of them are like that, right? In complete trance. Any other points we could take from here? On a more serious note, what was it that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appreciated about the affection of Krishna? What did he say? What was his thoughts on that?
How merciful Krishna is. I mean, what to think to a witch, what to think about devotees who actually love him, love Krishna.
Yeah, that's really amazing, huh? Just imagine, like if someone could go to Krishna and they're like asura bhava, they're like demonic, yeah, and Krishna still showers them with affection, yeah. Then what to speak of someone who's actually trying even to serve Krishna, even failing to serve Krishna, but they're trying to serve Krishna. How much Krishna would appreciate that. If someone is demonic and they're coming to Krishna, he gives them affection. Yeah. So this is Krishna, huh? This is the person who we're dealing with. What a sweet person. What a sweet person Krishna is. So we can't imagine what's in store for us. And if we know this one thing about Krishna, then it will really propel us in our relationship with him. If this is at the forefront of our mind, this is the person who we're calling for. Day and night, we're chanting our rounds. We may be struggling with, our anatas or inabilities. But this is the kind of person we're actually dealing with. This is how sweet Krishna is. Huh? Then we can really call him with that kind of affection, isn't it? Hey Krishna, Karuna Sindhu, Dina Bandhu Jagatpate, Gopisha Gopika Kanta, Radha Kanta Namostate. Krishna is an ocean of mercy, Karuna Sindhu. Yeah. And not only is he, how does that verse go? Does anyone know the translation of that verse?
Prabhu?
Yeah, you want to have a go?
Which one? Which verse?
Hey Krishna, Karuna Sindhu.
Hey Krishna.
And the next line is Dina Bandhu Jagatpate. What does that mean?
Dina Bandhu, hey Krishna, Karuna Sindhu is merciful. Dina Bandhu is friend of the world. Is it? Someone
Bandhu,
who can give,
bandhu.
Friend, yes, and give someone who gives everything. Jagat is the world. Pate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namaste. Gopesha Gopika Kanta. I don't understand the meaning there.
Okay, anyone else? Thank you for adding that, Panchali. Yes, so that was the second line. And then the third and fourth line. Gopa Esha.
Kapika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastate.
The master of the cowherd boys and the
Yeah.
master of the cowherd girls also.
Yeah. Very dear to the cowherd girls. Gopika Kanta. Yeah. And then Radha Kanta Namastate.
I offer my respectful obeisances unto the beloved of Srimati Radharani.
Yeah. It's a very powerful prayer. Yeah. Very, very powerful if we can meditate on the meaning of it. Like Krishna is the ocean of mercy. Yeah. Even though he's so far away, he's busy playing with the boys and girls of the spiritual world. Yeah. He's so much in love with them that even Srimati Radharani, she controls Krishna by her love. Yeah. Radhakanta. Krishna's name is Radhakanta. Yeah. So he's controlled by Radharani's love. But still he's so merciful that he is the friend of everyone, in the material world as well. Dina Bandhu Jagatpate. So even though we think Krishna may be very far, he can be very close if we want to approach him. If we know who he is, if we have that sambandhan, if we have that knowledge of who he is, and we approach him with that knowledge, yeah, then we can attain him very easily. Yeah. Does that make sense? I don't know if that makes more sense. Yeah. Okay. So this is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's thinking in this way. How much more mercy will Krishna give to the devotees? Yeah. So let's continue. Unless there's any comments, questions. Who would like to read next? Smita Mataji, would you like to read a little bit more and then we can move on to the next reader?
Yeah.
Someone would like to read next, that would be welcome.
After Lord Chaitanya came back to his external senses, he took all his students to the side of the Ganges. His school was on the side of the Ganges, under some trees. It was very beautiful. He loved the Ganga. Every day he would walk by Ganga. The Lord said to all his students, I am always giving you the best thing I know. Nimai Pandit school is the best because I give you the best. But I must tell you, after I met my spiritual master, Ishwara Puri, after I got initiated, I realized that Krishna is Param Brahman. Krishna is Param Satya. He is the absolute truth. He is the Saman Bonam. And all these other things are superficial. Without Krishna, nothing has meaning. So how can I, with all the truthfulness, all honesty to my students, not teach you about Krishna? How would I be honest to myself if I just teach you superficial things? So now whatever I teach you, Krishna will be there at the center because he is my realization. Shall I continue?
Yeah, if you could read one more.
Yeah. If you think Krishna or the Harinam Sankirtan, the process of chanting Krishna's name, is something you don't want to do, then I free you from any promise, any obligation you have to be my students. I am sorry, I cannot teach you and teach you less than I know. I have to teach you the best knowledge I give you. Otherwise, I will not be true as a teacher.
Okay. So what does this section tell us? Anyone have thoughts on this?
So he's telling his students that I will be your teacher, but I will teach you what I have realized, what I think, because everything else is superficial.
That's right, yeah. So why should he teach something which is like not going to be of eternal benefit to them, isn't it? So yeah, so we can see, like, very gradually Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, his mission is unveiling here, isn't it? Huh? So he started off as as a naughty little boy who wasn't allowed to go to school, right? And just wanted to create trouble in the world. Yeah, we remember those pastimes in the beginning. Then, he finally convinced his parents that he wanted to learn and he wanted to go to school, and they enrolled him, and he became the top student of the top teacher. And now he's become the top teacher. Yeah, and now he's unveiling the highest teachings as well. Yeah, which is really Sanatana Dharma, which is really the religion of the soul. Yeah, real spiritual life. So he's teaching everyone about Krishna now directly. Anything else which you could take from this section?
I mean, it also, he also defines the real, what the real definition of knowledge is, isn't it? Because people define knowledge in a very superficial way, but Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, by saying that, there's Krishna at the center of everything, of all knowledge we come across, he defines what real knowledge is and what people should aim for, not just any kind of superficial gaining of information.
Okay. Could you give an example of, like, how that is in the world around us then, just so we can get a better understanding? I think I know what you mean, but I'd really like you to draw out the point yourself.
So it's oh well, put me on the spot now.
That's fine. It's not a test. It's just a discussion.
So
We're all friends here, isn't it?
So it's you want me to give me an example from today's life, or just in general?
Just as you like. Yeah. Just to give an example of.
So if you go to say school or college or university, so the subjects we study, so we study, say for example, any subject, but I don't know. I mean, without separate from Krishna, separate from linking it to the real cause. So whether it's I don't know, Prabhu, how to explain it. I think I'm not going in the right direction. I mean, I can give it with my work. So say, for example, through my knowledge, because I've, after university, based on what my qualifications, I've got a job. So I have to put Krishna at the center of my work, keeping in mind that I've actually got the job because Krishna helped me go through university, go through the process of interview, made me successful with that. So the work I'm doing, I have to do it with utmost dedication, because that is something which I haven't got out of my own by being me, but it was actually sanctioned by Krishna. So that's what I have to keep in mind, that I have to keep Krishna at the center of anything that happens in life, or
that's a brilliant understanding. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
See, it wasn't so hard.
Thanks.
When you give it a little bit of thought, it's really, really powerful. Yeah. See, actually, this is what there's a great misunderstanding, even amongst some devotees, or let's say not misunderstanding, but a sort of superficial understanding of what Maya is. There's a misunderstanding of what Maya is, you know. Actually, what Maya is what you can't connect to Krishna. Everything is actually connected to Krishna, but we need to learn how to connect what it is that we are doing to Krishna. So when we are doing something which we can't connect to Krishna, that's called Maya. Does it make sense? So it's not that everything is Maya. You know, sometimes we superficially label everything as Maya. You know, only Krishna consciousness, or only, you know, hearing about Krishna, chanting Hare Krishna, only that's Krishna consciousness. Everything else is a useless waste of time. But that's not actually our Krishna consciousness philosophy. So Panchali has described it perfectly. It's about how you can keep Krishna in the center of everything we do. Yeah. And she gave a wonderful example of how we've gone to, you know, through our education and your acquired skills, we've got a particular kind of inclination to work, a kind of nature to work in a particular field of activities. Yeah. And we have to acknowledge that those inherent qualities we've got is because Krishna has given us those qualities. And the knowledge which Krishna has allowed us to build on that foundation is also his mercy. And when we work using our intelligence and our mind and our senses and everything at our disposal, then Krishna is the one who's giving us the rewards. So that's really Krishna consciousness. And when we forget that, that's really Maya. Yeah. So you pulled out a wonderful point there, Panchali, from this section.
Thank you, Prabhu.
So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he's not their guru, he's not their spiritual master. He's their grammar teacher, he's their Sanskrit teacher. Yeah. But he's going to teach them in a way that connects everything that he's teaching to Krishna. So how amazing would it be to have a teacher like that, right? You know, suppose you were learning just, you know, and I did my degree in e-commerce, you know. Wouldn't it be so amazing if I had like a teacher who was teaching me e-commerce, but in a Krishna conscious way? Or what did you study, Nimesh?
Studied anthropology and law.
Yeah. So imagine what a different spin a Krishna conscious teacher would have on that.
Yeah.
It'd be completely different. It would be so blissful. But still, you'd be learning law. You'd still be learning anthropology, right? But you just have a different kind of. It would go really deep, isn't it? The teachings would go really deep.
Actually, Krishna did come up in my degree.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So my anthropology tutor was studying different cultures about what they how they give gifts, and she actually gave the example of Sudama giving a gift to Krishna and Krishna accepting it, because she had heard this story from one of the villages she visited, and it actually stuck with her, and she actually mentioned it. I was so happy when she mentioned it. I was like, wow.
Amazing.
She said that this is an example of you know, appreciating the intention rather than the actual thing that's being given.
Yeah. Amazing. So she also had her own realizations.
Yeah.
Perfect. Anyone else want to share on this point? Or if you'd like to raise something else from what we read? I was thinking how effective we would be if we were working in Krishna consciousness. We'd be doing our work with so much gratitude, so much appreciation, so much care and attention would go into our work if we were really Krishna conscious. Huh? So this is like how we can tell how Krishna conscious we are. Or at least I can speak for myself. I just think, I can't wait to get this day out of the way. So I can get to the, the Krishna book Sangha or the Gauranga Sangha, right? Because that connection is just not there in our work. So I just think, let me just get it all done real quick and, forget about it. But someone who's Krishna conscious, they can actually do the activity and see like how Krishna is. I work as an analyst, so I would be able to see, like how all the facts and figures I have to collect and present, how they're, the work of Krishna, because nothing happens without Krishna's sanction, So whether, the chart is going up or the chart is going down, it's all happening because of Krishna's sanction. Every week you present the report, Krishna sanctioned this here, I'm delivering it to my boss. So we have to see in our own life how we can be more Krishna conscious.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
I think that this era, like this generation, not this generation, younger generation, are much more luckier because you've got like the Avanti school. So they've got teachers that will be teaching students properly, but with Krishna in mind as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
And all over the world. So the generation, the younger generation are much more blessed.
Yeah.
Those
Srila Prabhupada has done a really great thing, huh?
Yeah.
You can see how Prabhupada, he's just planted the seed of Krishna consciousness in the world, and the fruits are like unlimited. The benefits for everyone, generation after generation, it's just like it only gets better. Yeah. How amazing. Yeah, there's a lot we could say about that, isn't it? Yeah. Anyone else have any thoughts on this?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, I have a question actually.
Yes.
It's fine, like when we are working, we will keep Krishna in the center and we work as a gratitude for it. But how to convey this to our younger generation? Say, for example, I'm a teacher, dance teacher, not a school teacher. So how would I keep Krishna how would I advise my students to keep Krishna in the center? Because not everyone follow Krishna consciousness.
Yeah.
So as a teacher, how do you teach the students to keep whatever religion they follow, to keep the God, to keep, generically we could say God as a center, and do their duties?
Yes, excellent question, Mataji. If only I was living in that way, I'd be able to give you a good answer. But I can try and repeat what I've heard from those who do live in that perfect way. That Prabhupada says example is better than precept. Example it's actually an English phrase. Example is better than precept. What does it mean? You can go and tell everyone, Krishna is so wonderful, Krishna is so great, Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. But, if we ourselves are not Krishna conscious fully, then we're selling ourselves short. Prabhupada says example is better. So better to be a good example, So better to be, sincere in our work, better to have good work ethic, better to have, the right determination in the workplace. Krishna talks about all these things in 18th chapter, the conclusion of Bhagavad Gita. Krishna gives us all of the things in the mode of goodness. And if we can be on that level, then people will think this person is just so amazing, they've got unbreakable determination. They've got so much enthusiasm and joy in what they do. They've got so much knowledge, and they really care about, how things are done and delivered in the right way. Their dealings with people are, like just, there's so much affection there. then they would ask, like, what is it that drives you? What is it that motivates? What kind of, you know, where are you from? They will come to you. They'll come running to you. But, you know, if they really, so people appreciate that. They notice that, anything, you know. So we don't have to go out of our way to, you know, give people Krishna. If we're Krishna conscious, then naturally people would be drawn to us, you know. So that's something to really strive for. I don't know if that answers your question, Mataji.
Yes, Prabhu. Yes, I have a long journey to go for that. Yes.
Yeah, I definitely do. I'm only repeating what I've heard, so cannot say I'm there. But
Thank
see,
you,
there's
Prabhu.
amazing principles in the Bhagavad Gita, and if we can take these principles and even apply some of those in our life gradually and bit by bit, you know. Krishna talks about what is happiness in the mode of goodness, passion, ignorance. Krishna talks about what is determination in the modes, you know, what is good work in the modes of nature. If we apply all these things in our life, even, you know, just take one thing every week and just see it, how much am I living up to this standard? Then, you know, people will take notice, and this is actually what will endear people to the good qualities of the Vaishnavas. Yeah.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Because actually no one else has this kind of knowledge. No one has this kind of, no one can go through this kind of transformation without Krishna's mercy, without Krishna's teachings. Huh? So we just have to take it full-heartedly. So nice, very nice question. Nice discussions from everyone. Thank you. Okay, we'll move on to the next. Did anyone want to add anything there? Okay, we can move on to the next portion then. Who would like to read next, as we've gone through our list of readers? Maybe Nimesh or Amu Mataji.
Sorry, Prabhu. I can't find my book now. I do remember putting it in the suitcase, but I can't find it now.
No problem. That happens. Maybe Nimesh, or I don't know if Jigna, you've got a book. Rasavalim Mataji, I know you have a book. Nimesh, would you be okay to read a little bit?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Thank you.
So I think we're at.
So we're at the paragraph which begins, the top student.
Okay. Yeah. The top student stood up and said, "My lord, you always taught us the goal of life was to win debates, to be the best scholar, to be the best debater, the best logician. Now, if you tell us Krishna is the summum bonum and we have to know about Krishna, we are ready for that. We don't want to go anywhere else. We want to be with you. If you tell us Harinam Sankirtan is the best process, you cannot expect us to not be a little surprised, because you never told us before. But if that's what you say, then please bring some Vaishnavas and teach us so that we can learn how to chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare." All the students stood up and cheered and said, "Yes, we all want to be with Nimai Pandit, but we don't know this Sankirtan process. Please bring someone to teach us." So they brought the devotees, Srivas and others, to do the Sankirtan with Mridanga and Kartals, and they taught everybody.
Wow. Well, glorious end. Huh? So again, this is like another story of transformation. Huh? So in the previous chapters, we were reading about how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went through that transformation. And now we're reading about how his students have gone through this transformation as well. Huh? So Srila Prabhupada, he says that this Krishna consciousness movement is like a touchstone. He sometimes uses this example, you know. Touchstone, it can transform anything. It can, you touch something and it touches and it turns it to gold, you know. or sometimes called the philosopher's stone, isn't it? That you touch something and it turns to gold. So I think it's in the Bible that Solomon had this kind of stone, isn't it? And everything he touched, it turned into gold, right? But even that kind of stone, it had a defect, isn't it? Because does anyone remember that story? What happens at the end?
There's the Midas or Midas, can't remember. So even his food turned into gold, and he couldn't eat anything because.
Yeah, that's right. So it was Midas. That's right. It wasn't. Yeah, it was Midas. So therefore, it was called Midas's touch.
Midas
right?
touch. Yeah.
Yeah, Midas touch. Yeah, that's it. So it's not exactly that kind of touchstone, but Prabhupada is making the point that this Krishna consciousness is like a touchstone, in that our consciousness can rub off on the consciousness of others. Yeah. So you can see how that disciplic succession is very important. If we want the consciousness to rub off on us, it won't come from reading and studying books, or having so much philosophical understanding, but it will come from association. Yeah. So association is the most powerful thing. Yeah. As I often say in our discussions, that bhakti comes from the bhakta. Yeah. It has to come from a living source, someone who lives in devotion. They can give devotion. So in that way, all of their consciousness has been changed by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, isn't it? So what kind of points stood out for you in this section?
They said they just want to be with Lord Chaitanya, so it shows that the attraction they had for the Lord, that even though he was teaching something different to before,
Yeah.
They just wanted to stay with the Lord.
Mm-hmm. And
Yeah.
on that point, it's just the word attraction. It's just Krishna being the all attractive. So as soon as people can't help but be attracted to him. So whatever he does, whatever he says, so even if he changes moods, even if he acts strange, people are still attracted to him because he's the all attractive.
Yes. Yeah. So that's something exceptional about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Yeah. That he was such an attractive personality anyways. Yeah. But he's playing in the mood of a devotee also. Yeah. And so he's showing us how to actually be a devotee. I heard in one class how we can understand this quite nicely, this point, that like a teacher teaching very young children, small children, how to write, how to read and write. So they have their chalkboard, or their, now they have, I don't know what they write on these days, not chalkboards, whiteboards.
The interactive whiteboards.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
Smart boards are
Smart boards, is it? I have honestly no idea. But anyway, I'm going to go with chalkboard. So they're writing, A, B, C. So the teacher is writing A, B, C. The teacher knows A, B, C, but the teacher's writing it like the children write it. Yeah, this is how a teacher has to teach, isn't it? They have to write A and say A when they write, and then all the children are writing A. Yeah. So this is actually Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mission. He comes and acts like a devotee. He comes to teach how a devotee acts. This is what he's doing. He's coming here and he's behaving like a devotee. Yeah? So he's experiencing all the things that a devotee experiences. So we know what those experiences are like, isn't it? Otherwise we wouldn't know. We wouldn't know our ABCs if a teacher didn't write from the beginning in that way. So, and that's very attractive. So you can see how the qualities of the devotee are also very attractive. Not only is the Lord extremely attractive, but even the devotees are so attractive. Their qualities are so attractive. Like many people, they saw Srila Prabhupada, and they were just, sold out. Their lives were just sold out to Prabhupada. They just left whatever they had, and they were completely under the thumb, as they say. Whatever Prabhupada said, they didn't care. They did it. No matter how crazy it was. So can anyone relate any stories in this regard?
I think I was hearing in one of the classes how Tamal Krishna Prabhu, he had to go to China, although he didn't want to. But then Prabhupada, so Prabhupada wanted him to go to China, and he initially he didn't want to, but then he thought, okay, fine, I've done my book distribution in this in this place or wherever Prabhupada wanted. Okay, because Prabhupada wants me to go to China, although I don't want to, I'll do that for him. And he went to China.
Yeah. That's one story. Yeah. And he actually did it. And then he brought back some disciples for Srila Prabhupada. He brought back some devotees who Srila Prabhupada initiated. And he just brought back these guys, and they had like shaved heads and shikas, and he presented them to Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada was so pleased with him. Yeah. Anyone else can think of a story? How Prabhupada was just so attractive to the devotees, they would just do anything for him.
So the original 3 couples who came to London, including Malati Mataji, had like a baby at the time, and they were willing to. They had hardly any money, but they were willing to come because they had faith in. Well, they wanted to please Srila Prabhupada first and foremost, and and they had faith that Srila Prabhupada's desire for a temple would happen, and they really they just tried loads of out of the world things like approaching celebrities and just going somehow getting into their offices and sending them gifts and stuff, and they managed to meet the Beatles that way, and they just did so many amazing things because of their faith in Srila Prabhupada.
Yeah, that's a phenomenal example, isn't it? Yeah. Now, if someone hears that story and they don't believe in miracles, then there's nothing for that person. That story is like miracle one after the next, isn't it? They actually had so little money, I remember hearing this from Shamsuna Prabhu. She had so little money, they couldn't even go directly to England. They had to go to, I think it was Amsterdam, and they had to have like some, I think it was a visa thing, or there was they have to show that they had so much money to even get into England. And they didn't have even that much money. So then 2 of them would go to England, send the money back over to Holland or Netherlands, and then, Amsterdam. And then then the next pair would come and they'll send the same money back, and the next 2 would come. They didn't even have enough money for the 6 of them to even legally show that, we could even be here. There's such little money. There was so much poverty. And then going from that to like actually meeting George Harrison, who made, one of the greatest records of all time. Of course, we are biased, isn't it? So, but he made the Govindam record, right? And it was like known worldwide, and that like made the Krishna consciousness movement explode. We had then Srila Prabhupada had so much resources from that record. Yeah, that's a miraculous story, isn't it? All based on faith in Prabhupada. Yeah. Can anyone else think of any other instances how Prabhupada changed the lives of others? There's actually so many things, so many stories. Practically every day in Prabhupada's life is like a miracle. It's so extraordinary. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just going to say, yeah, the hippies in America, the fact that they got transformed as well.
Yeah, Prabhupada would say, I'm making these hippies into, you know, the
Happy.
phrase. Yeah. I'm making these hippies into happies, isn't it? So this is the power of the association of devotees. It's like a touchstone. It can transform one's consciousness. Yeah, transcendental touchstone on the consciousness. Yeah. And so here in this pastime which we're reading, we'll just wrap up now. So Nimai Pandit, he's not the teacher they thought he was. Huh? So their first reaction was, he's not going to be able to teach us anymore. He's just become a softie. He's not going to be able to debate and have arguments with people anymore. That's the goal of life. But then he was just by seeing him, like, you know, fall down and cry in front of hearing this song. And then he explained that, you know, he wants to give them the highest thing, which is Krishna consciousness, not Nyaya, which is what he was teaching previously. Then they were just so attracted to him, their consciousness changed, that they just wanted to be like him. They just wanted to do what he was doing. Yeah. And so this is like the first group of devotees who came for the Sankirtan in the house of Srivas Thakur. So there were already Vaishnavas around at the time in Navadvip, but they were dispersed. Yeah. Because Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Parichanaya sadhunam vinashaya chadiskritam tamasam stapanataya sambhavam yuga yuga. So that you know, that Krishna is coming to establish a mission. He's coming to Parichanaya sadhunam. He's coming to deliver all of the saintly people, all of the righteous people. Yeah. So these people are all dispersed all over the place. Krishna, and then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to bring them together in the house of Srivas Thakur. Not only that, he came to bring everyone else together as well in that house. Yeah, of Srivas Thakur, which we'll be reading about next week. So this was the first kind of group of devotees which he's bringing together. Yeah, and Srila Prabhupada, he's done the same thing. You know, there was an astrologer who read Prabhupada's chart, his birth chart. And he said, this man will make a house the whole world can live in. So Prabhupada is doing the same thing as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu on a global scale. Everything these days is, you know, an international scale, isn't it? Globalization is like a thing now. So Srila Prabhupada has made Krishna consciousness into globalization. He's made a global house that everyone can live in, an international house. Yeah? And he's inviting everyone into that house. So just a few thoughts. And we can all go to that house. We can all be in, even virtually, be in our homes and still have Krishna Katha and chanting Krishna's names and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's names. Such a great thing that Prabhupada gave. Okay, so any other thoughts or comments or questions or corrections? As we're at time now, so we'll just round up. No? Did you enjoy the reading this evening? Is it okay?
Yes,
Yeah,
really enjoyed.
I'm really enjoying getting to know about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu more. So yeah, so thank you for the classes.
It's all mercy of Srila Prabhupada and this book by Srila Jayapataka Swami. We're getting so much nectar from it. Okay, so let's end here. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
Srila Jayapataka Swami Maharaj ki jai.
Yeah.
Jai.
Okay, so look forward to seeing you all again on Tuesday, I hope. Yeah, it's very wonderful that you're all adding comments and contributing to the discussion. That really makes it come to life more. So my appreciation for that. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Krishna,
Thank you,
Prabhu.
Prabhu.
Krishna. Thank you.